Hey everybody, and welcome to the Knowledge Pool, a think tank for all things MTG. I'm Dish, and today we are going to go over some of the changes made in MTG Arena because of the State of the Arena and other updates that they've made. I'm going to talk about some of the good things, I'm going to talk about some of the bad things, and I'm generally going to talk about my opinions on the things that have happened. So this one's going to be a little more up and down, maybe a little more hype than you might be used to from me, maybe a little more speculation, but I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope that we get a chance to look through things. So one of the things that I noticed right when we opened up was the new UI system. According to the new UI, you can see all 15 wins that you're supposed to get right off of the bat on your weekly and your daily wins. No more slowly gaining up 0 of 1, 1 of 2, 2 of 3. They just have it set up nice and neat in a nice circular fashion to let you know exactly how many wins you get prizes for, which I think is a huge boost to the AI. It's a great quality of life thing. If you play Magic online, or rather if you play Arena, you know that 15 is the maximum wins that you can get per day and 15 wins per week in order to get experience and get prizing. But a lot of new players don't know that, and they look at it and they're just like, oh, well, okay, 1 win, whatever. And they're confused as to when it's going to change and when it might not be 15, or if it'll be less, or if it'll be more the next time they play. This is very clear on what's going on, and I love the clarity of that situation. Also, they've announced a couple of new situations within the system, and I'll talk about those later, especially a new one that came up while I was trying to record this video. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the store. In the store, they have changed a lot of the ways that the UI looks in order to give you an idea of what's going on. First off, when they throw new stuff in the store, it now has a nice bright shiny new thing at the top to let you know what's going on. They've added some cool sleeves. They've added the pre-order to Theros Beyond Death. They actually added 2 pre-orders for Theros Beyond Death, which I might talk about in a later video of why they would split it up into 2 $50 bundles. They added a bonus pet. Lots of interesting stuff. They also put some stuff on that tells you a great deal, their most popular tag to kind of give things a pop and look. And the best thing is they added an offer ends soon. And even though they don't tell us when soon is, it's good that they acknowledge that players are not always going to know when some kind of event's going to end and when they should take advantage of it. Also, Hydro Crisis is on sale if someone wants that card art style. They set it up so that it shows it as a discount, and it looks like all of the card arts that are on offer end soon right now have been slashed in half in order to facilitate people buying them, which I think is amazing. That's great. It should get a lot of people in on some of these cards before they go. I'm not a huge card styles person myself, but I understand the appeal, and I hope that people get a chance to get what they want. Speaking on deals that they did, they've set up a pet, a new pet, Kunoros, which is the Cerberus character from Theros, and they have that as a single pet to buy or as part of the pre-order that I mentioned before. Dragon Whelp has been out for a little bit, and he's seems to be doing pretty good. I think that these little pets are great cosmetics, good ways to get people involved in the game. This is a good way to use monetization to get players interested, because the more uniqueness you can bring to someone's game, the more likely they are to spend a little extra floating cash, gold, or gems within the game. I like it. So Other UI changes, at the bottom we now have a friends list, something that shows exactly how many people are online, which one of your friends are online when they come on. I haven't really seen any use for it other than noting who's online. It looks like the only choices you can make as far as a person goes on your list is unfriend and block. So perhaps they're going to set things up later to have a chat function, but the fact that you can even see when your friends are online is a step up. It gives you an opportunity to know, hey, I can play with this person. I don't have to check in with them on Discord and make sure they're online and seeing if they're playing the game and seeing if they're busy. If they're logged in, then you can at least know that they're there. It's a step up. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that it's a great start. Some of the things that they announced during the events, Brawl Days is one of the big things that they announced on State of the Arena. And I want to talk about Brawl Days in more detail, but in particular, the big thing that you need to know about it is a one-time cost thing, 10,000 gold or 2,000 gems. You can play the event from today until January 16th, 2020, and you can play as many games of Brawl as you want. And if you win even one game along that way, you get a copy of Reese the Redeemed, which is now considered standard Brawl viable and historic viable in Arena. So you can craft up your Reese the Redeems and you can throw them in your elf decks or whatever other decks you want to make within historic. I think adding a card like this into the pot is such a good choice. It's a great way to get people involved in historic, to add some more, slip in a couple more cards other than the anthology that still fit within the themes that you're building, and give someone a card that they would play in Commander, because I've seen Reese the Redeemed Commander decks. I don't see why people wouldn't build standard Brawl decks or historic Brawl decks without them. So I think that that's really good. I think it's going to create a lot of cool situations. And overall, this, while there's more to talk about on Brawl Days, I'll say that having a full Brawl queue for a while is really going to make some people very, very happy. Also, they announced that they will be doing drafts of Dominaria. Unfortunately, I can't show you a picture of this because I'm not bringing up the official site, but I can tell you that it's going to be best of one, and it's going to follow the normal ranked draft rules. It's just going to be 3 packs of Dominaria instead of M20 or Throne of Eldraine or whatever. And it's the first time that they are releasing a historic draft, a draft of cards that are no longer in standard. And I am very, very excited for this. For those of you who watch my Twitch streams or any of my other stuff, you'll know that I'm a very big fan of limited play. I really love to draft. And within Magic Arena, I use these opportunities of ranked draft to build up my collection in sets that I don't have a lot of cards in. The last time that they put Ravnica Allegiance up, I started with literally like 5 copies of some card within Ravnica Allegiance, just 2 copies of one, 3 copies of another. And by the time the Ravnica Allegiance draft was over, I'm only missing 20 cards total, and I have at least 1 or 2 copies of every single card in Ravnica Allegiance. So I really am looking forward to doing the same thing with Dominaria, really building up my collection so that I can enjoy Historic more fully. I think one of the problems with Historic is that there's not a lot of ways to get those cards if you weren't around for that previous standard. And this is a great way to get people involved and get people to pay in and just enjoy drafting again. And I think we're in for some really cool things if they keep doing this. I would love to see what Ixalan Draft was like, or Rivals. So here's hoping that this continues as something pushing through into next year to really give us some fun stuff to do. Also, I suppose that we should take a moment to talk briefly about the historic suspended list. So, the historic list has created a new sort of list of banned cards, and they're not banned, they're using the term suspended. And all that really means is they are banned temporarily while they figure out whether or not the cards are going to cause a big splash in the environments that we already see. Particularly cards that have been banned in other formats. So the four current cards that are getting suspended in Historic are Once Upon a Time, which has been banned in Standard, Field of the Dead, which has been banned in Standard, Veil of the Summer, which has been banned in Standard, and Oko Thief of Crowns, which has been banned in Standard. So they are suspending these cards because they notice that in Standard and in Pioneer, these cards are causing a lot of issues. They're very dominant in the meta, and they want to try to put a stop to that. So they're saying, okay, we're just going to pull them temporarily and see what happens to the historic meta around it. If it changes for the better, we might permanently ban them. If it doesn't really affect things at all, we might put them back. And so we're not calling it a ban list because it's not like the classic Magic, this card's been banned and it's going to stay banned until we decide differently, and sometimes that's 5 years or 10 years or whatever. So they're lifting them, see how the meta goes. A lot of people are wondering why they bothered with this terminology, and one of the things that they mention within the article about suspending cards is that you will not get wild cards for suspended cards. So unlike banned cards, when Oko got banned, you got mythic wild cards to replace them. If they, for some reason, if they ban a card in Historic that they did not ban before and gave you wild cards for, if they suspend it in Historic, you will not get wild cards for it. And you will not get wild cards for cards that you've already gotten a wild card reimbursement for. Now, the second half of that, most people don't have any problems with. The first half, people are just saying, oh, you know, this is just a way to build a ban list that doesn't give us anything out of it, and blah, blah, blah. I have two things very important to say on that. One is that the idea of suspension is supposed to give us that sort of digital age fluidity of being able to take cards out and put cards back in as we see fit and kind of get an idea of how things are supposed to work. They are going to ban the cards, and they said that they're going to try to stick to some sort of schedule to either ban or not ban a card depending on how it changes the meta. They're not going to just sit on something being suspended for 6 months or 8 months or a year. And if they do actually ban it, then they will reimburse you the cards if you created them for Historic and hadn't gotten a reimbursement from them being banned in something else. Honestly, I think this is a really good thing. It's a really good step in the right direction. I think a lot of people are quibbling over terminology, suspension versus ban. It's a temporary ban list to get an idea of what should be actually banned within Historic. And we won't know exactly how it ends up working out until things go by. But I will say it's very rare for things to get banned in short-term formats and not get banned in a different short-term format. So what I'm saying is that we should expect Oko, Once Upon a Time, Field of the Dead, Veil of Summer to be on the historic ban list. Because historic's not that big, and they needed to be banned in standard. So if they are being banned in standard, they're likely to be banned in historic until the card pool of historic gets big enough that things will be visibly different. So I wouldn't worry too much about a card coming out in standard and it being like, oh, okay, this is fine in standard, but in historic it's absolutely broken and we cannot have it here. You'll likely be able to see the writing on the wall for what's going to end up on the suspended list or what's going to end up on the ban list for historic based on the ban list of standard. Now, those things will change as historic grows far beyond the standard that we're in. But in the meantime, I wouldn't worry too much about them suddenly taking mythics away from you in historic that are considered perfectly playable within the confines of standard. Usually, if it's broken in one, for now, it's going to be broken in the other. So keep that in mind. Don't worry too much about the idea of suspension and not getting your reimbursement. There is considered a time cost that comes along with things being banned in historic, but I don't think that a lot of people will end up seeing the impact of that as a terrible thing. So I hope that this brings us a lot of fun games. I hope that it makes it so that the meta kind of shapes on its own. One cool thing that often happens with this kind of stuff is that if certain cards are pulled out of a format for a little bit and then reintroduced, the meta has changed significantly enough that you don't have to worry about that card coming back to redominate a format. That's part of the reason that them unbanning Stoneforge Mystic in Modern was a big deal, because at this point the meta has changed so severely that it's probably going to be okay now, and a lot of people aren't going to try to find ways to shatter it. But we can only tell with time, so we'll see. I guess I should get back to Brawl Days before I get too far into other things. So I've heard a lot of talk, specifically over the last couple days, about the price of Brawl Days and what it means as a business term and overarching sense of what Magic is trying to do with its events. So unlike other events, which has cost us gold or gems in the past, this does not have a lot of rewards for playing the event. The event itself only has one reward as a win. It is one copy of Reese the Redeemed, which, you know, is good if you're going to build a Brawl deck with Reese the Redeemed. But other than that, it doesn't really flaunt anything except for a non-stop queue of Brawl for the month. Now, a lot of people are speculating that they should give us this non-stop Brawl queue all the time and that it should be a free event for us and that we shouldn't have to pay for it like this. The idea that it will be charged the same amount or even more the next time that it comes out, and that it's just a way for gold to be sunk into the game so that you can't use your gold to buy packs in the new set when the new set drops. I'm going to say this. It's not that. There's definitely some draw for Wizards to give people cool things to do with their gold, because the more gold that they spend on this stuff, the less gold that they have to buy packs, which may entice them to buy gems in order to draft, which might entice them to get involved in other things, get within the pain system of the program. But, and this is important, Brawl itself is the kind of format that tries to appeal to a particular audience. And that audience often has an issue with not being willing to pay for things. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like that. I'm sure there are plenty of whales and, normal paying players and everything like that play Brawl on a regular basis. I know a few popular streamers love Brawl, even though they are definitely within the system of paying players. But one of the draws of Brawl for a lot of players is that you only need to craft one of every card. So you don't have to dip into the pool that is the paying part of the format very often, if at all, if you're careful. And the idea of them giving you Brawl in a full queue that works all the time and allows you to gain wins and finish daily quests upon it, it sounds like it'd be a no-brainer as a free format. But it also would create a system where people who don't ever want to deal within the paying confines of the system would never ever have to. And as a paying player, and as someone who believes that people should be paid for the work that they do, I don't think that it's necessarily unfair of them to ask a wage for a service that they are providing. Some of you will probably disagree with me. There might be a lot of people in the comments who don't like that idea. But I also want to bring up some other things with it. One of the arguments I saw to this is that if you bought 6 packs for 6,000 gold, you would get a rare wild card, and you could use that rare wild card to craft Reese the Redeemed. So why would you pay 10,000 to get Reese the Redeemed? The answer to that is, do you like Brawl enough to play every day? Is Brawl every day worth 4,000 gold? If that's the case, then Reese the Redeemed is just an additional 6,000 gold on top of that, which if you wanted Reese, you would have spent the 6,000 on 6 packs so that you could make that happen anyway. 10,000 sounds like a big number, but when you really look at this game, you make gold every day really, really fast. If you are the type of player who can play every single day, and you can play at least long enough to get your quest done and 5 wins, you're nearing 1,000 gold right there or surpassing it every single day. Which means in 10 days, you can pay for this format. It's even less if you are an active player who plays all the way to the end of your 15 wins every day. And if you play the constructed events and win and get past the cap of the gold that comes through on constructed events. If you are the kind of player who drafts with gold and saves your gems, this might be an opportunity for you to use some gems that you've set aside for this situation. There are ways to create the currency that you need to get this to happen, and it's not super difficult, and it's not super time consuming. So 10,000 gold to be able to play as much Brawl as you want for a month sounds like a deal to me, and getting Reese is a throw-in that's really worthwhile. Also, I think that the Brawl Days situation looks really good. The playroom that they created, the arena, looks so neat. It's got a Eldraine meets Santa's Workshop vibe going on, which I think is very clever, and it looks very, very good. And it feels good to play Brawl and not have to worry about playing on one day a week. And if you don't want to pay for this, you can still play Brawl on that one day a week in the Wednesday Brawl queue and not have any issues. You can play Direct Challenge with your friends still and not have any issues. Now, would it be better if we could play Brawl all the time and it not cost anything? Sure. Being able to play Brawl all the time and having free stuff always feels good. Having it free always feels good. But I want you to look at the bigger picture of what's going on. If you're the kind of person who saves your gold for drafts, you're trading 2 drafts, which is 2 instances of at most 9 games, for as many games of Brawl as you want to play for the next month. If you think that's worth it, then this is for you. If you are the kind of person who saves your gold to buy packs, you're essentially saying, I'm trading 10 packs for a rare that I can only craft and non-stop Brawl queue for the next month. If that sounds enticing to you, then this is for you. If you're the kind of person who amasses gold non-stop and can easily put together 10,000 gold, this is for you. It gives you something to do with your hoard of gold. But I do understand some players don't have that luxury. Some players are very, very sparse in the amount of playing they do, and they want to be able to play whatever format they want to play when they want to play it, and they can only play for half an hour. They can only play on Friday nights, and it's hard to say that this is not for you, that this is not something that was built with you in mind. But it wasn't. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a thing that exists. And if you don't like that, don't buy it. I'm not trying to urge anyone into picking this up for any other reason than they want it. What I'm trying to put forth is the idea that every service has costs. And the idea of looking at every single thing in Arena and going, these are the only things that should be charged for and these things should not be charged for, is short-sighted. It's considering things only from the perspective of someone who cannot pay for what is essentially a luxury item. I know that other kinds of games do it. I know gacha games have their free sets. I know that other microtransaction things have a high free base before they hit a paywall. But a lot of them don't. And I think that Arena definitely does have a lot of things that you can do for free. There's a lot of wiggle room for you if you are a free player. 10,000 gold is not a high price. 2,000 gems might be a high price to a particular person, and I can understand that. But 10,000 gold is in-game currency. They're giving you the ability to pay for it within the confines of the game. And as a free-to-play player, that means they are at least considering the idea that you might want this and you might be willing to pay for it. But if you're not, just don't. I think that'll be fine. But I do hope that you consider it, even if it is sort of a big gold sink, and it is something that you would have a little difficulty making back your 10K. Because if you truly enjoy Brawl, this is the way to enjoy Brawl. On any day you want, at any time you want, with a decent queue, and frankly, the low reward system kind of gives it a boost, because after a certain number of days, people are not going to be playing their high-level Brawl decks as often in the Brawl queue. There's no reason to run an oppressive Brawl deck for 6 days in a row if you don't have to win 15 games in order to get 15 separate prizes. Once you have Reese, you're done having to play Brawl competitively, and now you can play Brawl for fun. And this might be the way that Brawl is supposed to be played, as a casual, fun format that doesn't have those oppressive decks. I hope. I'd like to see that. And I think that this is a good way to facilitate that because of the lack of prize support at the front. That being said, I hope that in the future they find ways to make this even more enticing. There's no reason why we couldn't be able to pick up the arena that they build, the Jingle Bell Arena, as I've been calling it today, as an arena that we can play on during the rest of the year. Something that they can actually monetize to people in the store for gems. Or even make it a reward for winning so many games during the giant brawl event. You could set it up that way if you wanted to. But at the end of the day, this is a lot of brawl and a lot of fun for what is essentially an insignificant amount of gold for players who would play Brawl in that hefty amount. So, buy it, don't buy it, but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that it gets to see a certain amount of success, because I love being able to get new cards, I love being able to play new formats, and I'm willing to see some gold loss for those situations. Finally, and the last thing for today, I want to talk a little bit about the pre-con clash, which just came up literally while I was getting ready to film the ending of this video. It's called the Game Awards After Party. The Game Awards was tonight, and then I had to get some audio done, so I decided to pull up the game. And what do I see but a new event that is set up to give us upwards of, it looks like 3 packs of Theros Beyond Death. We can't open them until Theros Beyond Death is released, but in the meantime we get to play with event decks that are built with some of Magic's most iconic and powerful cards, as well as preview cards from Theros Beyond Death. This is really cool. I looked through these decks. They both have Black Lotus in them. They both have Moxes in them. They've got some really decent cards, plus some of the stuff from Theros Beyond Death, so we get a little peek at things like Eidolon of Philosophy and other things. I think there's one copy of each Planeswalker that they're based on, Ashiok and Elspeth, in each of the decks. And it's really cool, and it made me super excited. I almost had to stop recording audio just so that I could play with it a little bit. But this is the kind of event, it came out of left field. We didn't hear anything about it. It wasn't brought up in the State of the Arena, and I didn't see it on the patch notes, although maybe it was promoted within the patch notes. But like coming into the game at night after having played during the day and getting to see a new event's out, and that I get to play it, and this event is free, while the Brawl Days might cost you a little bit. They're giving you 3 packs for free just to play this event until it ends. I don't know how long it's going to be up. I hope it's up tomorrow so that when people watch this video, they'll know what's going on. But it's really cool to have an event come out and you just get to play some stuff and have some fun with it. So I really hope you guys get a chance to play that and get a chance to get these sweet new packs, because the new packs will be very, very important when the new set releases. Speaking of new packs, I'm going to circle around one more time just to make a quick note about the pre-order and what it means. So a lot of the people, when they were talking about the Brawl Days issue, were talking about things to monetize Magic for people who would want this monetization. This particular setup is a good way to do that kind of monetization. So what this is there's 2 pre-orders. One pre-order is $50, and it comes with the set mastery for Theros Beyond Death, 10 bonus levels, 2 sealed tokens, a copy of Elspeth, and a card style for Elspeth. And that's like a bunch of things, a bunch of little things, good things that people would want, people would play with. And it gives you a little boost on the set mastery, $50. Kind of pricey. Also kind of pricey, in my personal opinion, is the normal pre-order bundle situation, which for Theros Beyond Death is 50 packs of Theros Beyond Death, one copy of Ashiok Nightmare Muse and the Nightmare Muse card style. And also, when purchased, you immediately receive the Ashiok Mosaic sleeve. This is $50, just like the Throne of Eldraine one. I personally think $50 is better spent playing drafts because you will get well more than 50 packs out of drafts as long as you're winning sort of middle of the road. And you'll get even more if you're winning a lot. But some people really like having access to cards right away. Some people really like cracking packs. And I'm not faulting anyone for that. If you are, $50, 50 packs, sort of the normal standard price of stuff. Plus you get a Mosaic sleeve and a cool copy of Ashiok so that you have one extra Ashiok in your collection. Could be worth your money. The bonus being that if you happen to buy both of these, you get the pet of the Cerberus for free. Now, the pet is 3,000 gems normally, which is roughly a $5 value for free. Is it $5? No, I'm sorry. It's somewhere between $15 and $20. Which, is it's a good price. It's a good way to take care of things. And if you really like that pet and you really like these two bundles and you have $100 to blow, it gives you incentive to blow. And this is the sort of monetization that players call for. And I like this as a concept. Even though I won't be purchasing either one of these, I might end up getting the pet on its own. I know that how my money is used equates to how I play, and I love these Mosaic sleeves. I think they look great, but I don't love them enough to pay $100 for them. So, at the end of the day, every player is going to look at each deal and put their money where they think it is the most valuable. In that sense, I think that Magic does a good job of spreading out how they charge us for things, how much they charge us, what the whether or not we pay for it with real money or we pay for it with gems or we pay for it with gold. And they have good ways of making sure that everybody has something that they can get and that they can afford. And I think that's a really neat, important step. If I were going to complain about anything in the store today, it would actually be these new Cryptic Command Exquisite Sleeves and Lightning Bolt Exquisite Sleeves, which are beautiful, by the way. If you have not gotten a chance to look at them, they have nice animations. The art is super clear. It is exactly what I'd want to see out of those kind of exquisite sleeves. However, they are gold and only gold purchasable. Because of this lack of diversity on how you pay for it, this is a little more concerning to me as a gold sink, the thing that we were talking about earlier with Brawl Days, than Brawl Days is. Because Brawl Days allows you to pay for it with gems, you can just pay for it with real money and be done with it. But only having a gold tag on it means that they definitely want you to sink your gold into these. And if you were to buy these two sleeves, it'd be 16,000 gold, which is, again, not a backbreaking amount of gold, but it certainly would set a free-to-play player back quite a bit. The access to these things as both free-to-play and as paying customers should be put into these kind of products so that you can entice free-to-play players who maybe don't want to put in for gems normally because they want to save their gold for packs, to go ahead and put in for gems for these neat, shiny, extra effects. but maybe I'm just seeing things from the opposite side of the coin. I would like to hear what you guys think. Please tell me all of your thoughts below. Tell me if you think I'm crazy about the Brawl Days thing. Start some unique discourse, engage, and let me know what you want to see me talk about next and what kind of things you think I'm right about, what kind of things you think I'm wrong about. And it's been amazing looking at this and getting hype into Magic, because so often I feel like I ebb and flow on hype trains. Usually people are like, oh, this is coming out and it's going to be sweet and everything's going to happen. And I'm very, okay, we'll see kind of thing. But right now, I think for this time, for the first time in a long time, have I really felt good about the direction of the way things are going. The quality of life changes are all good. It looks like they're actively trying to set up new things for us to have, to buy, to experience. And I just think it's a wonderful time to be playing Arena. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed our time, and everybody, out of the pool.